every day. Makes me wanna holler, go away. I need more peace and hope and love. Where do I find it in this crazy old world? I need strategies, strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab. Strategies for living radio. Every time I listen, Lauren and David share strategies for living, and it makes me aware. I got strategies for living, strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab. Strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab.
Oh, yeah, you know, we need them. We need those strategies for living. So, you ready? You ready for your daily dose of radio rehab?
I'm ready. Question is, are they ready?
I was counting on it. Hey, folks, welcome. Welcome into 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Welcome into Strategies for Living. I'm Dr. David McMillan, and she is psychotherapist, PLPC, Lauren Leon McMillan.
Yes, sir.
And you know, I don't guess it's we're letting the cat out of the bag in any way. You and I are working as we speak on a book.
Yes.
And
Yes, we are.
actually, you know, it's interesting because we're working now on the editing process of
Right.
that book.
Right.
And that's hard. I mean, you
It
know,
is.
In many ways,
This was always the hardest part for me in English, to have to go back and reread.
and edit.
Yeah.
Okay, so it got me to thinking, you know, because the job of an editor is to take the cluttered manuscript, right, and make it fun to read, make it effortless to read,
Right.
and you know, after the editing is done, the reader should be able to quickly discover what the book is all about and what are the key takeaways. And you know, that relates to life. How about if we did that with our lives?
Well, we certainly can all the time.
What
right?
if? Well, we can, but do we? I mean,
That is
you
a
know,
good
the
question.
concept of being editor of your own life, you know, and taking the clutter of life away, or cutting it down, editing it down to the essential pieces, getting rid of, you know, all of the stuff and making it crisp and clean
And digestible.
Yeah. So I thought, let's explore this
All right.
today here on Strategies and talk about why editing matters, and you know, the benefits of it, the psychological barriers to it, how do cultural expectations come into this, and more. Thought we'd talk about all of that today here on
Sounds like a
Strategies.
good place to start.
All right, folks, thank you for tuning in and joining us on Strategies today. And we appreciate our sponsors making it possible: the Robinson Film Center, and Azalea Cleaners, and Pintail Roofing, and Learning RX, and the Balanced Life Wellness Center, and Fertitta's Delicatessen, home of The Godfather, Alligator Italian Sausage. Back in a minute, we're going to talk about editing our lives. Maybe it'll be easier to say no. We'll be back.
Facing the same old problems day to day makes you wanna hard get away. Looking for the road that'll get me there. Looking for hope and peace to spare. Looking for strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab. Strategies for living radio.
Oh, yeah, here we are on Strategies for Living Radio.
That's right. Emphasis.
Yeah, welcome in, folks. Welcome into Strategies for a Living here on 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Lauren Leon McMillan, David McMillan, talking about the idea of being the editor of your own life.
Absolutely.
Why is it so hard? And I think, you know, we're we're approaching the that time of year where there are a lot more demands, right?
Right.
Coming at us, coming from here, coming from there.
Holidays,
And
rush,
just when you
hustle,
think,
bustle.
yeah, just when you think you've got the week and the calendar, here comes an email and here comes a phone call, and now 2 more things drop on top,
Of course.
right?
Right.
Why is it so hard to say no?
Well, I guess it has to do with the way we're oriented,
Yeah.
right? I mean, for people pleasers, right? And I can raise my hand a little bit there.
Yeah.
I'm a recovering people pleaser.
Yeah.
Right. We want to help people. Right?
Yeah.
We want to say yes.
Yeah.
We want to help each other.
Yeah.
Right.
And maybe, and we'll talk about this, maybe we ought to default more to no.
I agree, yeah.
Maybe, but we'll talk about that. But let's talk a little bit about why editing matters. So,
Well, and maybe why editing is so hard too.
well, yeah. I mean, I think those are related,
Right. Well, because, the first part of editing requires you to look at what you've got so far.
Well, again,
Right.
we mentioned at the top of the program, we're working on a book, and we're working on one that you and I have written, and it's interesting to me, Lauren, that in a relative sense, when we had a lot of notes and outlines and things like that put together, right?
Right.
But the writing part was fairly quick because we did have outlines and notes and ideas that we wanted to present. A lot of them, we've actually talked about
Right.
bits and
I
pieces
think that's
here on
kind
the
of
radio.
the idea of the little book that we're making.
Yeah, but it's been interesting to me that the actual writing was almost a piece of cake compared to the editing process.
Yes.
It almost feels to me like, and it may not be this way, but it feels to me like, oh, geez, I gotta grind this out. I gotta do this some more. Wait, you mean there's another chapter that I missed? So
Right. Going back over.
yeah. And you're wanting to
And I think part
make
of
it
that,
right?
I think part of that has to do with just kind of our culture in terms of we're novelty seeking, right? And so to have to back up and feel like we're redoing something or doing something over again is
Yeah.
not as rewarding, and even on a neurochemical level, right? We don't get as much dopamine the second time around.
Right. Life editing is really kind of about cutting out what no longer serves you.
Well,
cutting
it's
out
about both, right? Cutting out what no longer serves you and adding in what does.
Well, exactly. Exactly. I mean, you know who Marie Kondo is, right?
Yes, the joy.
The author. Yeah, and her big question is, does this spark your joy?
Right.
Yeah. And so, and that principle, I think that principle can apply.
That certainly can apply to our life.
Yeah.
Not just our...
Because Marie Kondo is about decluttering your environment, right?
your external environment.
Right. But we're talking this evening, and I think it relates to we do have and live in an external environment.
Yeah.
But we have this internal environment too, and I wonder if our external environment at times reflects
Oh, absolutely.
the
internal.
The internal, yeah.
Well, because I think metaphysically, a lot of people, and there's a lot of theories that say there really is no external, right? And scientifically, we could...
You're going to get all quantum on me now again.
Scientifically, we could argue that, right?
Yeah.
Because even the thing that I see with my eyes is actually light that comes in and through my eyes, and I'm processing it in my brain. So even though everything that I see is still internally processed, and it's still in.
Yeah.
So,
I can hear
you can't help.
I can hear some of our listeners. What's that little lady talking about?
So when you drag me in here and you say something, I'm diving off the deep end, man.
I know.
This is what happens.
Exactly. The thing is that life editing, if we understand that concept, that we're editors of our own lives.
And we truly are,
And we are.
We often, this is an interesting switcheroo, right? Or new perspective, right? Because we often say, well, we're authors and we're directors and we're playwrights.
And all of
we
that's
are.
true. We are.
But more than anything,
We're
we are
editors.
editors.
Yeah.
Because we have a lot of substance already on board.
You're getting it, and you're getting where I'm coming from, because the editing process might be the hardest part of it.
Yes.
But it also may be the most important part
Sure.
of our lives. And the opportunity at a time, like at this time of year, when there are a lot of demands, things coming at us, it's an opportunity to take a step back and say, well, what really does matter to me? What does really align with the person that I want to be, my values? And so I think that's some of the benefit of actually seeing yourself as life editor, as editor of your own life, because you then create more time for the things that really matter in your life.
And you begin to see that it's true that at any moment you can rewrite, you can edit at
Right.
any moment.
Sure.
You don't have to start anew. I think sometimes people can get stuck on, well, the surroundings, the situation has to be a certain way for me to jumpstart into a new endeavor.
Right.
Or it has to be, I have to start anew in the morning, right? We give ourselves these weird time
give
limits
ourselves these
of
boundaries, yeah.
when things can start.
When in fact, there's a new now every second.
That's right.
Yeah.
Every now moment.
Every now moment, and it,
Is a rebirth.
Yeah.
It's a moment, on a cellular level, right? Our cells are growing and changing all the
right,
time.
and a rebirth, and therefore an opportunity. And we don't have to wait until the new year, or we don't have to wait till Monday,
No.
or we don't have to wait for any other arbitrary boundary we might
Right.
be putting on ourselves. Why not now?
Why not?
And so one of the other, I think, benefits of life editing is increasing our clarity and reducing a lot of us, and we've talked here recently on some programs about getting overwhelmed, right? And I think life editing can increase clarity and can reduce or decrease the overwhelm
Right,
in our
because
life.
when you get into editing mode, and I'm talking about life editing now, right? When you get into that mode, you begin to think and question, right? Okay,
Right.
how is this serving me? And is it bringing me joy? And if not, can I just let it go,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. And again, the other thing that life editing can do, and this lines up with what you're saying, you can become you come into greater alignment with what your true values are.
Yeah, and that's something I think value searching, knowing your values
Right.
is an important part of this task, right?
Might be the
Because-
biggest gift you can give yourself.
Because then you really have a measure, a barometer, if you will, of, okay, well, I know that I value honesty,
Right.
right? And so if this new experience is not aligning with my value of honesty,
Right.
I need to just let it go and focus on what brings me joy and what brings me into greater alignment with that which I want to be.
Why is it so hard? Why is saying no? I mean, and you began to touch on this earlier, and I think I interrupted us and took us in a different direction. But I think
Okay.
it's important to loop back to why the saying no is so hard. And I think that when you think about saying no, there's both, we've got to look at the psychological barriers that we face there in no. We've also got to look at some cultural expectations. So some of the psychological barriers would include, and I think this is where you were going a few moments ago, the fear of disappointing. We don't want to disappoint
Right.
others, the fear of disappointing others. But then there's also, I think this is big, and that is the guilt that we feel for prioritizing ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, we're kind of taught
So that's kind of a combo of psychological and cultural, really.
Yeah,
It's
and
both.
maybe spiritual, because, we quote a guy from a couple of thousand years ago: "Love your neighbor as you love yourself."
Yeah, well, but he said that equally.
Right,
And
and
that's the
that's my
important piece.
That's my point. We say it, and we say the whole thing,
Yes.
but it's almost like we lop off that last part of it: "as you love yourself." So there's beautiful balance there. Love your neighbor as you love yourself.
Right.
So there's a beautiful balance that takes place in the original instruction, in the original teaching. And it's almost like culturally we've lopped that off.
We have.
And we just focus on
Well,
just
and not
love
just
the neighbor.
Not just that, but even in his whole story, we glorify the idea of sacrifice.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Yep.
This idea that I have to sacrifice myself for others.
And we've kind of gone down that path.
Way
Yeah.
down the rabbit hole. When in reality, the greatest gift that we could give to each other is to enjoy the life we're living.
Absolutely.
And in alignment with who we truly are, because I truly believe that is our gift to the world, is being who we came here to be.
Yeah. And of course, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but there's also FOMO. Some of us have a fear of
Sure.
missing out.
Right.
Then there's the cultural expectations, right? So we're taught, a lot of us are taught to be people pleasers. We're taught to be overachievers. And societally, we're taught to be busy.
Oh, don't stop.
Don't stop. If you stop.
You certainly shouldn't say no just to rest.
Yeah. And so again, I hope we're helping us to take a step back and look at realistically the life we're living, and maybe there's a lot of power in editing your life. We're talking about that today here on Strategies for Living. We've got more to throw around to discuss and unpack. We'll be right back. Come back with us. Hey, let's talk about the Robinson Film Center. I say it a lot. There's no place like the Robinson.
Absolutely, there is not.
617 Texas Street, downtown Shreveport. You've got so much. You got the movies. You got Abby Singer's Bistro on the second floor of RFC, open for lunch and dinner Tuesday through Saturday.
Newly remodeled.
Absolutely. Great menu. RobinsonFilmCenter.org is the way you check it all out. You can go to RobinsonFilmCenter.org at any time and find out what movies are showing. Here's the deal. You want to join the crowd, join the fun, become a member. When you become a member, you become a star. You get discounts on movies, you get concession upgrades, you get bistro deals. RFC, 617 Texas Street in downtown Shreveport. I'll say it again. There's no place like the Robinson.
There is not, and I'm glad we have one right here.
Absolutely. The RobinsonFilmCenter.org.
Reading begins not in the classroom, but in your child's brain. I'm Donisa Walker with LearningRx Shreveport. If your child struggles to read, maybe he or she has trouble focusing or comprehending, LearningRx Shreveport offers a science solution to reading problems, working one-on-one with your child, targeting his or her reading skills. Today, call LearningRx Shreveport. Make an appointment to have your child assessed. I know you want to help your child, so does LearningRx Shreveport.
We all have problems every day. We all need help along the way. We need strategies for living radio.
Hey, welcome back. Welcome back into Strategies for Living here on 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Lauren Leon McMillan, David McMillan. We're talking about an interesting concept this evening. How to be the editor of your own life. How to, when you need to, say no.
Okay.
It's hard.
It is.
It is editing. The editing process is hard. And,
And while no is a very important and difficult part of the editing process, it's not the only one, right?
No, not at all. And yet a good editor is going to take the manuscript and make it more concise, make it clearer, make it crisper.
Right.
And far more readable to you probably would be surprised at some of the books that you might
The first drafts
the first
of those
draft.
books.
Yeah. You and I are working
aware.
with a friend of ours on helping him with his book.
Right.
And we're doing some editing. And oh boy, oh boy, it's
You got to start somewhere.
you
though.
got to start somewhere, and it's very, I can say this, it's a very pleasing process because it's neat to take a story and feel like, okay, I'm making that better,
Right.
and that we can do that in our own lives. Let's talk about some, when we do need to say no. Let's talk about some strategies
All right.
for being able to do that. One of the things I think is an idea that I'm going to suggest, and let's call it the positive no.
Okay.
This would be the formula for the positive no.
Okay. I'm kind of imagining it's like the sandwich. The
All right, so
positive
you start
sandwich.
with a positive statement.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you for thinking of me. Okay, and so I think very much it's like a sandwich. So the first piece of bread in the sandwich is thank you for thinking of me. Start with gratitude.
Right.
Okay, and then clearly and firmly say no to whatever it is if you need to. I just won't be able to take that on right now, or I won't be able to come to that this year.
Right.
And then, so that's the meat. That's the meat. Then the other piece of bread is to end on a constructive note. And I hope the event goes super. I hope everybody enjoys themselves. I'll miss you guys. Catch you next time.
Right.
Yeah. And so, that is a positive no formula.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah. Then, we talk a lot about the B word here on strategies. So it's
Couple
boundaries.
B words.
Yeah, we can talk about a
Balance and
couple.
boundaries are pretty important.
And I think they're related.
Oh,
you know?
absolutely. I think it's important that you find and recognize your boundary before saying no.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's what a no is. It's a statement of boundary, essentially.
Right. That's absolutely right. I mean, and a boundary is a form of self-care.
Yes, it is.
That's what a boundary
That's
is.
interesting because I just came across another definition of boundary that I like. I like a lot. And it's a promise that I keep to myself.
Okay, I like that.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah, that is
because
nice.
it's accurate. It's true.
Yep.
Because a boundary often is, something that I say that I'm going to do,
Yep.
right? And it doesn't require anybody else to do anything else.
Right.
It's what I'm going to do.
Right.
And so therefore it is. It's a promise to yourself.
Right.
And so, giving a boundary statement is just expressing that and further validating for yourself, I'm keeping this promise that I made to
Right,
myself.
right.
Like if you planned, like I have enjoyed going on my daily walks, right?
Yep.
And so if somebody asked me to come do something around the time that I would usually take my walk, right? Depending on what it is, right?
Right.
But most of the time, I've promised to myself that I really enjoy that time. That's my self-care time. So if somebody asked me to do that, technically, I could say, well, I really could do it because I'm just going to go on a walk, right? But I made the promise to myself. And so, you could even include...
And that promise may be the most important and precious promise
Yes.
that you could make.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And so, we could take it a step further by being a model of how to set promises for ourselves by including that in your no. By saying, hey, no, I can't do that. I promised myself I would go on a walk.
Right. I promise to make that a priority every day.
Right.
And this is my walking time.
Right. That's it.
And, I know that you've kind of under your breath had some things to say about going back to standard time because
Yes, because it has upset my walking
yeah,
time.
it's
It's
made
moved
that
it- moved
it's
it
moved
up.
that up in the day, because
Right.
if you don't get your walk in, by a certain time, the sun's down and
The
it's
street lights are coming on.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
not as fun and not as enjoyable.
Right.
And and all of that stuff.
But
So
I've shifted.
Yeah.
We shift.
yeah. I think it's important to communicate boundaries very clearly, very consistently.
Mm-hmm.
And, you mentioned the other B word, which is balance.
Right.
And so boundaries for the sake of boundaries, we all probably need to be a bit careful here and a bit, do this very consciously, because we can kind of go over the side and into default to a selfishness, right? And this is where the balance comes in.
Absolutely.
And so, look, when someone perhaps gives an invitation or says, "Hey, this is going on," it's okay to say, "Give me a little time to look at my schedule and to think about that, and let me get back to you.
Right.
I'll get back to you shortly." Is there a deadline, for you?
Right.
Is there a time that you absolutely have to know because you're ordering, maybe food and stuff like that? And I'll honor that, but give me a chance, instead of just boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that.
I think in our society of rush, no, you've got to know the answer now. We put a lot of pressure on ourselves. And what that does internally is we pop out of our bodies, right? And so we make this decision strictly from the head, which is not always a great thing to be doing.
Yeah.
In fact, with things like boundaries, it's way more important that you're able to check in with your body.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, like, imagine yourself doing or going to this event
Yeah.
and really pay attention to your body and
Ooh,
see
yeah.
how it feels in your body. Do you
Yeah.
feel expansive?
Yeah.
Or do you feel contractive?
Back to Marie Kondo. Does this
Does
spark
this
joy?
spark joy? And
Yeah.
so if you're in a situation where you feel pressured to make a snap decision, about something, I think it's way more important for everybody involved that you do what's in best alignment with you, which includes your body. So by being able to say, I like that, what you're suggesting here, to say, give me a minute and let me think on that,
Right.
so that you can regulate yourself enough to come back to your body and ask it.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And again, we it's almost like this is a cultural thing,
Yes.
but it's almost like everything needs to be so quick, so instant.
You need to know now.
And we don't give ourselves the permission to say, let me see how that fits into what I've got going. I've got a real busy schedule right now and a lot of commitments. Let me look at that and let me get back to you. When do you need to know? And that's, give yourself permission to do that.
Yes, that's a big one.
Yeah. If you need to, and this may seem a little weird, but you can use scripts,
Sure.
So, maybe you could do
Have some pat responses
Yeah.
in your back pocket.
So one of them might be, and to use this as much as you want to, folks. I'm flattered that you thought of me, but I can't commit to that right now.
And you know what? You can even say, I'll let you know if anything else pops up.
Yeah.
That way, you leave yourself open. And what that also does is it puts the ball back in your court, so that the person asking is less inclined to say, oh, but.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When you say, I'll let you know if anything else pops up,
Yeah.
that helps to deter that.
I'll give you one more. This isn't a good time for me now. That's not a good day for me to fit one more thing in, but thank you for understanding. Do you see what I did there?
Yeah, that's a great flip.
Thank you for understanding.
Yes, instead of I'm sorry.
Yeah. Because again, I mean, you've already
And you're
implied.
inviting the understanding to be there. I like that one.
Yeah. Thank you
Yeah.
for understanding. And that may be the most powerful thing that we can give for, hey, write a script. I mean, because again, the reality is that saying no and being your own life editor, it's hard stuff.
Yeah, and it can
Editing's
be
hard.
It can be scary too if you've received a lot of negative pushback in the past.
One of the things I think is important is to understand that decisions are not relationships. Okay?
Okay, tell me
So
more.
separate your decision from your relationship. So saying no to an activity
Yes.
does not mean I don't like you.
Right.
Or I reject you or the person that you are. So we kind of get trapped into doing things that we don't want to do only to be liked.
Mm-hmm.
And the chances are good that refusing to participate in an activity, doesn't impact the relationship, as much as you might fear in your head.
Right. And in fact, I would argue if you're doing something just because you want to please someone, you're not doing it from a place of true joy or true pure motivation. And so you'll both experience that as a negative event anyway.
Right. We're talking about this evening a real interesting idea, and that is being your own editor of your life. And this is especially important, for you to be able to say no when you need to say no.
That's right.
And a lot of times we say yes and we want to say no, and then we may show up and we're disgruntled and I don't want to be here.
Nobody else wants you there either when you're disgruntled.
There you go. There you go. So the importance of editing this evening, our own lives. Talking about it today here on Strategies. More to come. Stay with us. You're going to see the difference. When you go to Azalea Cleaners, you'll hear about it too. Azalea Cleaners has been fine dry cleaning since 1958, plus laundry, alterations and repairs, comforters, wedding gown cleaning and restoration. You'll hear about it from your friends because they'll see it too. They'll notice the Azalea difference. Azalea is convenient. 732 Azalea Drive, 9220 Ellerby Road, and 9227 Mansfield Road. Plus, the front door of your home or business with Azalea's delivery on demand. Just text SETUP to 249-8283, and Azalea will pick up your clothes and deliver them back clean and fresh to you. You can't get closer than that. That's the Azalea difference. You'll notice it right away. Others will too. The Azalea difference. Fine dry cleaning since 1958. Text SETUP to 249-8283 and get the Azalea difference. AzaleaCleaners.com.
Hi, this is Jay Merle for Pintail Roofing. Let's talk about quality. When you hire Pintail to build your roof, here's what you can expect. Quality and quality control are the most important concerns for us at Pintail, and you need to know that Pintail stands tall with swift and professional performance on any warranty call. This is our most important policy. And remember, we're your neighbors. We'll be here for you for the long haul. Our family's lived here for over 100 years, and we aren't going anywhere. On the commercial side of Pintail's business, our fluid-applied roofing solutions can save thousands of dollars over conventional commercial roofing options. Call Pintail at 226-ROOF for a free inspection of your home or commercial building. That's 226-7663. Pintail Roofing. What's the condition of your roof?
Back into Strategies for Living here on 101.7 FM, 710 Keel, talking about being the editor of your own life.
We're chopping and cutting and pasting. And
yeah, and sometimes that editing...
making a beautiful collage of words.
That
and
editing thing is
experiences.
hard.
Yes, it is.
And you kind of really like the idea that we were talking about before break, that decisions are not relationships. When I say no, it's not. I don't
love
like
that. I really love that because I think I see that a lot in the world.
Yeah.
And in people around me, right? That we have a difficult time separating out. Okay, just because I don't want to go to this thing doesn't mean it's a personal attack.
Right.
Right.
Doesn't mean I don't like you or I don't love you anymore or
and
anything
actually,
like that.
In fact, all that it means is that I love me.
Yeah.
And, and this is a boundary. And I just don't, sometimes it might not even be that big a deal. It's just that I don't really enjoy doing that activity. So I'd rather do something else. And it doesn't have to do with being around you or being around people.
Right.
Right.
It's not a good time for me.
That could be another reason.
And I can't fit one more thing and I'm really over,
The other thing to keep in mind there, I think, is that, we as people are always constantly changing. And I think we forget that to give ourselves grace, because as we change, we kind of change in these cycles, right?
Yep.
And part of the change and transformation cycle is sometimes includes a pulling away and into ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And just like a butterfly, right? When it goes into a chrysalis,
right,
and it's going to come out, rather, it's a caterpillar, and it goes into a chrysalis, right? And it comes out a beautiful butterfly. You can't rush that process.
No, it's a process.
If you poke at that chrysalis before it's too soon,
you're gonna mess things up.
well, you could kill the thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, not that it's that extreme, but in a way it is. We have to give each other grace just to know that I'm going through some things and I need this space to me.
Need some space, need some room.
Yeah.
And
sometimes that's all it is. It doesn't have anything to do with a particular person or activity.
Right.
It has to do with the person setting the boundary.
And Lauren, if the relationship is healthy,
Yep.
and then the person that you're having to say no to is going to fully get it and understand it. And so, I mean, this may sound a little harsh, but if you get a lot of flack, you get a lot of trouble about it, you might really want to look at the relationship.
Right.
And okay, is this relationship as balanced and as reciprocal,
Right.
as I thought it was?
Because kind of what that may indicate, among a bunch of other things, is some sort of transactional relationship.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So in other words, I'll do this for you,
You do
if
this
you do this for me.
And there's a sort of tally or scorekeeping involved, and that's not
healthy.
reasonable or healthy.
Yeah. So one of the things before we finish here that I want to bring up in this idea of editing our own life,
right,
is the idea of we might want to do an audit. We might want to perform
a life audit.
And this is a good time. This is a good time of the year.
Let me tell you, this is the best time.
Yeah, and I think performing a life audit over the next 60 days or so is way more important than setting a bunch of goals that might be hard to keep for the first 5 days of the new year.
Yeah, you got a good point there.
Yeah.
I
So
like that.
perform a life audit and ask yourself some questions. So one question would be, what's really taking up my time and energy? Where's my energy going to? Where's my time going to?
Yep.
And does that align with my values and my sense of purpose? What who I see myself as being and why I'm here,
Right.
So it gets back to the core questions. Who am I? What am I doing here? Where am I going? Those are those are very, very important core questions.
They're the compass questions
Right.
that keep you on track.
And then as part of your audit, after you've, answered the question of
Where's my time and
energy going, then identify what are the time wasters, what are the energy drainers, what are the time wasters, what are the energy drainers, because again, we are ultimately infinite beings.
Yes.
But in this world,
Well, in this particular body.
in the reality of this body, we are not infinite.
No.
We are finite.
We're infinite in finite.
Infinite.
Beings.
That's exactly right.
Right.
So that means that we have to take this energy that we have and we have to manage it.
Yes.
And just like you wouldn't drive your car, you would never think of covering up the gas gauge of your car where you couldn't see it and then drive, and drive some
and
more.
not only that, but driving in circles,
Right.
because how many of us do that in life?
And if you think about that metaphor, that's what we do.
Yeah.
We cover up the gauge and we just drive it.
Yeah.
And we drive it and we drive it. And then we wonder,
Go, do.
why in the world did I stop? Why did I get to a point?
Why did I break down?
Yeah, why did I break down or run out of gas? Well, because we're
stewards of our own energy and
That's
time.
right. That's exactly right. So I think that the idea of life audit is an extremely important idea with this editing thing. Another one is to look at revisit often what your priorities and what your goals are. Are your actions aligned with your long-term vision?
Yeah.
And again, this is a good time of year to look at that and do that on a regular basis. And then finally, there's a power to something called delegation.
Big
So,
time. Yeah.
let go of the task that you can let go of and let somebody else handle it. If there's a big family gathering, let's say, that you've got an invitation to, and you just can't make it this year, relax. It's a big family gathering,
Right.
So there's a lot of other people. You're not ruining the family gathering by saying, hey, I can't do that this year.
No.
I can't be there this year. And that's okay. Give yourself the space and the grace,
Permission. Allowance.
to be able to say, hey, thank you. Can't get there this
Not
year,
this
but
year.
appreciate it, and really thank you for understanding. And so I hope we've, I think this is a good time of year to look at this editing thing.
Yeah.
What needs to be edited in our lives, and are we ready to be the editors of our own lives? Talking about it today here on Strategies for Living. We'll be back.
From the bayou to your table, we're keeping it alive with flavors from the family passed down to survive. The Godfather's here with a twist in the tail. Alligator Italian sausage, and it sure won't fail. It's the boss of the bayou, a taste you can't refuse. Italian tradition, Cajun infused. Godfather sausage, bold and true. The Padres bringing the bayou to you.
Get the Godfather Alligator Italian Sausage only at Fertitta's Delicatessen, 1124 Fairfield Avenue in Shreveport. Pick up a muffy while you're there. The Godfather Alligator Italian Sausage. It's a taste you can't refuse. Sold only at Fertitta's, 1124 Fairfield Avenue in Shreveport. Dealing with stress, pain, feel like you're running out of options? When your life is balanced, wellness is a given. True wellness is holistic. It's about the mind, the body, and the spirit, all in balance. Now, there's a place right here in Shreveport that's all about helping us achieve peak mental, emotional, and physical health. The Balanced Life, 117 Kings Highway, right next door to Strawn's. Come see and feel the difference getting your life in balance can be. Many of your friends and neighbors have already learned the difference less stress and pain mean in their lives. You can book a discovery session right now online, thebalancedlife.us. All you've got to lose is stress, pain, or maybe both. Come see and feel for yourself. the real difference balanced wellness makes. The Balanced Life Wellness Center, 117 Kings Highway in Shreveport, next door to Strawn's. thebalancedlife.us.
Facing the same old problems day to day makes you wanna holler, get away. Looking for the road that'll get me there. Looking for hope and peace to spare. Looking for strategies for living radio.
Always looking for those strategies here at 1017 FM, 710 Keeland Strategies for Living. Lauren Leon McMillan, David McMillan, talking about the power of editing your life, becoming your own editor. Say no when you need to say no. What's your takeaway from today, Lauren?
You know, a couple things really stood out to me today. This was a new, fun take, and I like it. I think we should all play with this idea of editing our lives.
Yeah.
One thing that stood out was the idea of applying Marie Kondo's what sparks my joy to your life.
Does this,
not just to your stuff.
Does this spark my joy?
But to your life stuff, too, right?
Yeah.
And I also really liked the idea of being able to tease out within ourselves, the separate out the boundary or the decision from the relationship.
Yeah. You know, and I think this is one of those days when we hear this sometimes from folks that listen to us. You guys make it sound so easy. Well, yeah, we do, because we lay out some things and we want us all to think about.
Because we don't want to remove the barriers for you to get started.
Right, but we're not saying that the process of it is necessarily,
No, it's not necessarily easy
Right.
or quick and dirty fix.
but
right?
it's worth doing.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it's your life.
And it is simple.
Yep. There you
It's
go.
not easy.
Simple,
is
not
simple.
easy. I like that. I like that.
It's
that
simple,
approach.
repeated over and over again.
Folks, thank you for tuning in to Strategies for Living. We appreciate you being here with us, and we appreciate our sponsors making it all possible. The Robinson Film Center, and Azalea Cleaners, and Pintail Roofing, and Learning RX, and the Balanced Life Wellness Center, and Fertitas, Alligator Italian Sausage, only at Fertitas Delicatessen. If today were the last day of your life, you only had one more phone call that you could make, who would you call? What would you say? And why are you waiting? Make the call. For Lauren Leon McMillan, I'm David McMillan. See you next time, right here on Strategies for Living.